Hey there, beautiful people. This is Mentor Shelley. I'm here tonight on the last day of Black History Month. Well, listen, Black history is American history. And as far as I'm concerned, that's 365 because it is a part of American history. So it's important enough for me to celebrate it every day of the week and twice on Sunday. But I digress. We are going to be talking today about some very serious topics. What's going on currently in our US of A lot of layoffs taking place. And of course, we are always here on this particular channel to provide solutions more than focusing on the problem. So we're going to dive right in. So I'm going to give you guys a little time to get in here, drop a like as you're coming in, say hello once we get started with the conversation. Stay tuned. Hey there, beautiful people. This is Mentor Shelley, wanting to make sure that you become a better version of yourself professionally, guys. We're going to be talking about something fairly serious, and I've talked about layoffs before, but it is happening, especially in our country. It's being publicized because it is taking place in unprecedented numbers, just based on what we're hearing a lot on the news and places of that nature. A lot of federal, a lot of government, a lot of workers that were not has not experienced any kind of loss or layoff in a while is experiencing vast numbers. So I want to at least start off with where and how this is taking place and what we can definitely do to get things not necessarily moving in the right direction, but we want to make sure that you guys understand that you're not alone. This is not something that I see a lot of people, unfortunately, making fun of people that are losing their livelihood. And for the life of me, I mean, I understand the politics behind it, but at the end of the day, somebody losing their ability to provide for themselves is not something that should ever be a joke or something to make fun of. But that's my perspective. So let's dive in and at least get a better sense of what's going on here. Okay. Let me put myself at the bottom here so you guys can see the full spectrum here. This actually is coming from ABC News, actually. Here are all the federal agencies where workers are being fired. This was written by Julia Renstein. This was only, 4 days ago? And of course, I'm sure there's more taking place as we speak, if you're keeping up with a lot of what's going on in the news. Here are all the federal agencies where workers are being fired. Department of Education, IRS, and many other agencies are facing steep cuts. In the weeks since President Donald Trump has assumed office, more than 200 federal workers at more than a dozen agencies have had their roles eliminated. The mass cullings, let's go ahead and X that out. The mass cullings stem in large part from efforts of Mr. Musk and the newly formed Department of Government Efficiency, which has sought to dismantle large swaths of the federal government. Many of those fired have been classified as probationary employees, a status unrelated to job performance. While probationary employees can be recent hires, typically having served in their roles for under 1 or 2 years, the status can also apply to long-serving government employees who have changed roles or agencies. Boy, they use technicalities to do these kind of things. In addition to those who have been fired, 75,000 Let's get a grasp of that number. 75,000 federal workers have accepted the buyout because people are making choices that is best economically for them, or that's just the best option they see at the moment. The Department of Education. Dozens of probationary employees were let go from the Department of Education on February 12th, which was only 2 weeks ago. According to two sources familiar with the firings, dismantling the Department of Education was one of Trump's key campaign promises. If you guys have looked into if you guys have had chance to review Project 2025, that was one of the pieces of Project 2025 that was specifically stated in that document. He has slammed the department as a con job that should be closed immediately and has directed Musk to investigate the agency. Real interesting. The Department of Education is the smallest cabinet-level agency with 4,400 employees. Another 1,400 employees work in the agency's Office of the Federal Student Aid. Department of Homeland Security, more than 400 employees at the Department of Homeland Security has had their positions eliminated, officials said. About half of the cuts were in the FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency, which saw 200 dismissed. The firings at FEMA came right after Musk slammed federal spending on what he misleadingly called luxury hotels for undocumented immigrants. Sir, we've had 2 storms, and there are people in North Carolina right now that has not received any kind of aid, and they need it. And the storm happened a couple months ago, but I digress. Let's get back to it. Let's see here. In addition to the cuts that FEMA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Securities Act, CISA, lost 130 staffers. The U.S. U.S. Citizen and Immigration Services, USCIS, and DHS Science and Technology had smaller degrees of cuts. Additionally, 12 Coast Guard members who worked on diversity, equity, and inclusion were affected by the reduction in force with the offer to support border security efforts at the southern-western border. Department of Energy. Roughly 2,000 employees have been fired from the Department of Energy, including the National Nuclear Security Administration. One of the indeterminated employees, Karzan Mata, told ABC News the firings were conducted in a haphazard and arbitrary manner. There is no consideration for the mission. There's no consideration for whether or not this position is crucial, he said. Oh boy. There's some issues there already. Okay, United States Agency for International Development. As part of Trump and Musk's stated objective of shuttering the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, more than 10,000 staffers have been placed on leave, multiple sources told ABC News. Roughly 6,000 USAID workers remain in their roles. Consumer Financial Protective Agency, CSPB, has also been targeted by Trump and Musk, who have said their plans to gut 1,700 employee consumer watchdog agencies. Interesting. On February 14th, government lawyers representing the agency's acting director reached an agreement to temporarily hold off on firing CFPB workers while lawsuits challenging the dismantling of the agency makes its way through the court. U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs. Oh boy. The Department of Veteran Affairs has dismantled more than 2,400 employees. More than 1,000 probationary employees were dismissed from their roles February 13th, the agency said. So a lot of this has only started to take place in the last 2 weeks. Yikes. In a statement, the department said that the cuts were part of the government-wide Trump administration efforts to make agencies more efficient, effective, and responsible to the American people. Have no problem with that. Just make sure you're not cutting jobs that are actually that are that are absolutely needed, and you have to hire them back. I've heard in the news also that that's happened in several of these agencies. On February 24th, the agency announced the dismissal of more than 1,400 probationary employees in non-mission critical positions. The VA said the move will save more than $83 million per year, and the VA will redirect all those resources back towards healthcare, benefits, and services for VA beneficiaries. I certainly hope so, because I did a video a couple months ago or a few weeks ago about the condition and the type of care that they're receiving in the hospitals in Atlanta, Georgia, in that hospital of the VA, and it wasn't a very positive report. The Department of Agriculture, USDA, has also faced significant cuts, including the U.S. Forest Service, which manages wildlife responses and prevention. Amongst those who lost their jobs was Carla Areda, who told US ABC News that she has been a probationary employee at National Resources Conservation Service since September, but worked as a contractor in the role for a year before that. Arata developed conservation plans for farmers in Georgia and helped them get federal funding. These poor farmers, because I've also seen videos of several farmers that benefit from these departments. These poor farmers, it's like I abandoned them, and that's not the case at all, Arata said. They were amazing and cared so much about their land, and I wanted to help them preserve that. EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. The EPA has fired 388 probationary employees, the agency confirmed on February 20th. That was literally a week ago. Another 171 staffers are now on administrative leave from the EPA teams responsible for diversity, equity, and inclusion and environmental justice. All of the DEI departments are being targeted, obviously, because he did specify that that was his goal. The Department of Health and Human Services has lost 1,000 of its employees, including the National Institute of Health and the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, according to the Associated Press. About 700 workers were fired from the CDC. That's also in Georgia. I think their headquarters is in Georgia. Center of Disease Control, multiple sources told ABC News. At least 16 of the CDC cuts were the members of the World Trade Center Health Program, which critics said could put the health of 9/11 first responders at risk. So far, we've been addressing quite a few of the departments here, a lot of the public and federal federal workers. The Department of the Interior. Let's see here. Let me make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see it better. Okay, here we go. The Department of the Interior. About 2,300 people have been fired from the Department of the Interior, according to Reuters. Approximately 800 of those terminations were reportedly from the Bureau of Land Management. Another 1,000 workers were fired from the National Park Service, according to National Park Conservation Association. The Office of Personnel Management, which serves as the federal government's HR agency. Coming from my HR folks now. Has been overseeing the mass reduction process, has also faced cuts of its own staff, I'm sure. About 200 probationary employees were told they were being fired in a pre-recorded message. In a pre-recorded message? Really? Tacky much? Okay. About 200 probationary employees were told they were being fired in a pre-recorded message that instructed them to gather their personal belongings and exit the premises, according to an audio recording call obtained by ABC News. Wow. And I'm not saying wow in a good way. Pre-recorded pre-recorded message? You didn't even have the decency to show up in person, or at least personally on camera? You pre-recorded the termination message? Wow. Well, not surprised. Thrown back, but not surprised. Okay, General Service Administration. General Service Administration also had its staff reduced, with Reuters reporting more than 100 people were laid off. SBA, Small Business Association, about 720 of the employees at SBA have lost their jobs. Politico reported, reducing its headcount to about 20%. IRS, Internal Revenue Service, began laying off 6,000 new and newly promoted employees across the country on February 20th, sources familiar with the planning told ABC News. These layoffs impact roughly 6 to 7% of the agency's 100,000 person workforce, began midday February 20th, primarily outside the DC area, with thousands of employees facing layoffs at offices in Texas, Florida, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Tennessee, New York, and other states, sources told ABC News. The Department of Defense, even them too? Good Lord. The Pentagon announced on February 21st, Lord have mercy. The Department of Defense? Okay. I guess nobody was spared, huh? Wow. The Pentagon announced on February 21st that it will release some 5,400 civilian probationary workers beginning the following week, and froze hiring in the first wave of what could amount to 70,000 fired. We expect approximately 5,400 probationary workers will be released beginning next week as part of this initial effort, after which we will implement a hiring freeze while we conduct a further analysis of our personnel needs, complying as always with all applicable laws. Darren Selnick, the acting Secretary of Defense for Personnel and Readiness, said in a statement on February 21st. The statement said 5 to 8% of the Department of Defense civilian workforce will be cut in total, which would amount to, let me put this number in, let me highlight this number, y'all, which amounts to 43,900 to 70,240 individuals removed. This upper bound is higher than the total number of the department's probationary employees, which is roughly 55,000 worldwide, implying the cuts could reach deeper than the probationary workforce. Folks, I am, wow. Drop a 1 in the comments if you know somebody that has unfortunately been included in this number. Drop a 2 in the comments if you don't know someone in that number, but they do work for this particular, for any of the agencies that I've mentioned so far. Wow. Guys, that is a lot of people out of work. My God. This is, let me take a breath for them. And it's a labored breath. In the last 3 weeks, over 70,000 people have lost their jobs. I'm grateful for the one I have. Those 70,000 people cannot say that, and I'm here to help. I want you guys to understand this is not for anybody to take for granted. Nobody knows. Be grateful for what you have and where you are, folks. As you're coming in, like the video. Please be grateful for where you are. Please be grateful for what you have. These people 2-3 months ago did not know they were going to lose their jobs because of changes this government decided to make. However, in doing so, I want you guys to be aware that even though this is happening, there is a silver line to it all, because you can move on and be in a better position down the line. Okay? Keep in mind, there's more coming. But if you are in harm's way, or you may know somebody that may be in harm's way, I want you to pay attention to what we're going to talk about next. Okay? Because this is no time to joke. 2025 is not playing with anybody. Do y'all hear me? 2025 is not playing with nobody. And we have to take this serious. I see people online doing some nonsense. One of them being laughing when people lost their jobs, laughing when people were getting deported, all kinds of narcissistic-like behavior online. And some people forget that we are all human and we all have the same needs. There may be some billionaires and millionaires that can, weather the storm. That's not most people. And I want to make sure that you guys understand I'm here to help. To help you to become a better professional. Darn it, I want you to be able to survive through this. If any one of you that know someone that is dealing with this right now, or just got the news that their job is now gone, eliminated, or being put on probation, or being placed on leave, maybe not to ever return, please pay attention to what we're about to talk about next. Okay? I want you guys to understand it's no time for games. If you're on this list, or you know somebody that is, please pay attention to what we're going to be talking about next, okay? If you know somebody, go ahead and put a 1 in the comments. If you don't know anyone, put a 2, but still pay attention to what we're about to discuss, all right? Now, I know the state of mind. If you know anybody that's affected by this, send them this video. What do you need to do now? Okay, you've gotten the news that the job is gone, or you got the pink slip, or they played a pre-recorded message. How cold and indifferent is that? Jeez, you're talking to humans, but some of these people pushing this through, and the leadership on now, and if it's cold and indifferent towards humans, people tend to follow that suit based on who's giving the order. So it's disheartening, but it's not surprising. Where are you? What's the state of mind right now? I definitely want to make sure you're doing the first things first. The first thing I want you to make sure you're addressing is, do not ignore your bills or start living on credit cards. Please do this instead. Number 1, file for unemployment as soon as possible. Every state has different rules, so check the eligibility and apply immediately. And when they lay you off, before you sign that severance, please make sure you read through that severance and negotiate. When I say negotiate, if they're offering to pay you for 6 weeks, see if you can negotiate for 8 or for 10. Or if they put you on leave and they're paying you, if they give you any documentation, say, please read over this and sign it. Do your ever dear best to negotiate. You may be able to negotiate for more money, extended time, extended resources, to make sure that you can get as much out of this situation as possible. Okay? There is nothing more disheartening than knowing that you're going through this and you're not using this time. Yes, I know it's difficult. Yes, I know mentally it's draining. But make sure we handle first business first. Do your ever the best to secure some money coming in, file for unemployment. And if this is a layoff, 9 times out of 10, there's some form of severance agreement. Look over it. Read through it, not once, not twice, maybe 3 times. And do your ever best to negotiate some more time or some additional weeks of pay. Your livelihood and the roof over your head may depend on it. Number 3, pause unnecessary expenses. The non-essentials, the subscriptions, the dining out, all of that goes to a screeching halt. We got to keep the roof over your head. We got to keep the lights on. We got to keep the water running. And we got to do groceries. Okay? Find your emergency income or find emergency income in different ways. Side gigs, temporary work. At this point, what I'm going to suggest, go ahead, right? Go ahead and let me come a little bit closer to the screen here. Go ahead and start applying to about 15 to 20 temp agencies. Yeah, it's that time. Okay? Go ahead and start applying to 15 to 20 temp agencies. Get that resume out there. Right, guys? And if you need to do secretarial work, it's not going to be the typical, it may not be the temporary work, freelancing. Now is the time to start assessing your skills. What kind of skills what do I have in my arsenal? What is it that I can do that people will pay money for, even if it's on a temporary basis or on a contract basis? Start considering what skills you have available. Take a good look at that resume. Take a good assessment of your experiences. There is a resource that I'll be providing to you guys. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and put it on the screen now. You can go to mentorshelley.com/DCG. That is a dream career guide. Use that resource. It is free. Okay? Use that resource, download the guide, and use that to help you assess all of the skills, qualifications, education that you have that can be offered as a freelance service. Okay? Use the resources you have. Okay? And make sure, oh, honey, please go ahead and apply to some to some freelance, to some temporary agencies, side gigs while you work. And the side gigs right now are getting filled up because there's so many people out there that want the freedom of schedule. So they'd rather do gig work than a regular 9 to 5. The DoorDashes, the Uber Eats, you now have people doing Instacart, and the thing. There's a Walmart has a Spark where they do Walmart deliveries for groceries now. So there's all different kinds of apps out there. Jump on every one. Work as many of them as possible to make sure you have emergency income coming in, especially if you do not have an emergency fund in place. Now, the next thing I need you guys to do is protect your peace. When this happens, if this happens or this has happened to you, take 48 hours to process this. This is something that can be emotionally draining to anyone. You're a human being. A lot of you have a lot of your personality tied into what it is that you do for a living. And this type of, this type of sever, sometimes we have our emotions tied up in our job, and we shouldn't. But some of us do. So take time. Take a woosah moment here and avoid the shame spiral. Being laid off isn't a personal failure. Even the top performers are getting cut. Top performers are getting cut left, right, and center because if you notice what they said, a lot of positions, people that were in probationary positions, not because they weren't with a company for a long time, it's because they switched positions. And when in a lot of those government and federal jobs, when you switch positions, let's say you're working there for 15 years and you got promoted to manager, and then you have to remain in a probationary period for 90 days. God forbid you're in that 90-day probationary period and you get cut after being there for 15 years. So don't think for 1 second this has anything to do with performance. This has everything to do with they want those positions cut, so they did. Okay? Another way, tell your friends and family, let somebody know that you're in job search mode, not defeat mode. And if you're around people that seem to want to be Debbie Downers, keep yourself away from those folks. You need people that's going to be encouraging, that's going to listen, that's going to be uplifting, that is offering help and support, maybe to help you find another opportunity, even if it's temporary. Those are the folks that you want help, you want to be around, okay? Create a routine. Wake up the same time, schedule job search hours. But please, if you don't do anything else, please take care of yourself, okay? Now, the mental part is always going to be something that you do as a practice to keep you mentally, emotionally in check while you're going through this. However, now it is time to get to work. Revamp that resume and LinkedIn. I cannot say this enough. This is where most people go wrong. Instead of blindly applying, let's fix the personal brand first. Part of your personal branding, folks, is what you have on your resume. Is your resume representing you well? Is it not representing you well? Now is the time to fix that. Okay, and if you're, let me see here. Yeah, now's the time to fix it. Update that resume with impact. Please focus on achievement. Please focus on achievement, not just duties. I can definitely help you with this. Optimize your LinkedIn. So as you're updating your resume, make sure you're updating your LinkedIn profile as well. Recruiters are looking for you, and recruiters, unfortunately, are lazy. They are always looking on LinkedIn. Make sure the profile is on there, that you have on there is helping you for them to find you. It's so important. You have to find each other so the magic can happen, all right? Write a strong layoff statement. Craft a positive, professional way to explain your layoffs in interviews, especially because this number of people have been laid off. Layoff is not viewed as a negative because at the end of the day, you as a career professional have no control over that. The employers that you were employed with do. So that's not seen as a negative, especially if you explain that this was a part of a large shrinking of your department, or a large shrinking, or the company decided to make a change, and this is where it ended up. Okay? But of course, guys, if you're looking for help with that, if you want me to help you with your resume and your cover letter, you can definitely go to calendly.com/mentorshelly3 and pick the resume revamp and cover letter. Yes, you get both with this consultation. Okay. I do have something really, I do have a treat coming up for all of those folks that are going through layoffs. I absolutely want to put something special together for you guys. But of course, if you want to do it yourself, you can download my free guide at mentorshelly.com/resumes. In either case, you can either have me do it for you, or you can do it yourself with the free guide that is here. Now, activate your network. If you're only applying for jobs on the job board, you are missing out big time. Please, if you don't remember anything else that we talk about, make sure you are cultivating and you are tapping into your personal network, folks. Our my dear friend over at Black Women Making Money is always talking about make sure we're capitalizing and we're increasing our and working to build our multicultural networks. Okay, reconnect with old colleagues either online or offline. This wonderful thing we have here called the phone. Hello, the phone. Yes, this thing. Pick up the phone and start talking to people, even to check on them, to tell them hello, let them know that you are job searching, announce it on LinkedIn, and ask for job leads. Share it with people that will share that you are looking for new opportunities and you have XYZ experience to offer the next company. Also, reach out to employers or people that you know that own businesses and set up informational interview. Find people at companies you want to work for and ask for advice. In doing so, you put yourself in a better spot to obtain opportunities when they become available because you are already on the brain, because you're inquiring about their business. Please don't just apply to everything. Please apply for jobs smart, not desperately. Why? Don't waste time mass applying to every job out there. Please do this instead. Target your application and apply to roles that match your specific experience. You have a better chance of getting the employers to respond. Sorry about that. Respond to you quicker. Get past the ATS, to get past the applicant tracking system. I actually did a video on that, not even a week ago. So go ahead and look at that particular video so you get an idea of what the ATS system is and how you have to tailor your resume to every position that you're applying for so you can get past the ATS system to the human that is going to call you for an interview. If you need to use AI, ChatGPT, leverage those tools. ChatGPT has a free version, folks. Go ahead and use it for resume writing, interview prep, or you can schedule a resume or career consultation with me. You can use ChatGPT to help you, but I can help you even further with number one, getting that resume done and making sure that it's picking up or you're able to use it in particular fields, and we drill down even more when I do it for you, as well as career strategy as far as what do you want to do next. I am going to be I'm working behind the scenes on a treat for you guys to be able to help you through this very laborious process that this layoff has caused. Track your job search efforts. Keep a spreadsheet that the jobs that you have applied to, the ones that you follow, what ones you need to follow up with, and the connections. If you're not sure who's connected to what, LinkedIn.com is a very, very key resource in this process. Of course, listen, your layoff does not have to define you, folks. It is a chapter, but it is not the whole story. You can bounce back stronger, land a better job, and even increase your salary. The key to that is strategy. The key to that is approaching it from a strategic place, not from a defeated place. If you need help creating your own personal game plan, I do have my consultations available at mentorshelley.com/consultations. However, if you're not ready for that just yet, you can go ahead and at least download the resume guide that I have. Let me go back to where the link is at mentorshelley.com/resume, so you can at least download the guide. I do also have my other resource at mentorshelley.com/DCG, which should be still going at the bottom of the screen. So you can use that to account for, you can use that resource to document all the skills you already have that you can also use to offer as a free freelancer. Okay, guys, I want you to be able to bounce back from this. This is why I did this live tonight. I see a lot of things going on, and I want to make sure you know it's not the end. It's just a chapter. And of course, If you're still here, go ahead and like the video, share it with somebody that is going through this. And I want you to know that there are better days ahead than are behind you. So please make sure you take the time, go through the resources that we've talked about tonight. And if you want me to work through those with you, you can definitely go to mentorshelley.com/consultations, where you can either go for a career strategy session, or you want me to work on the resume and cover letter for you to at least help you start this process. Guys, I'm here to make sure you can become a better professional, especially some of you that are going through a very rough patch with these layoffs. More to come with layoffs. I am working on something for you guys to help you through that process. All right, guys, this is Mentor Shelley, wanting to make sure that you become a better version of yourself professionally. And as you're going through these layoffs, know that you have an ally to help you get through that and to get on the other side of that, whether it be help you to start that business, help you to start your to start offering your service freelance, or help you to get a better position as you're transitioning from one job opportunity to the next. All right, guys, take care. You have a good one. This is Mentor Shelley, over and out.